can clear the majority of the room from the outside of the room. I'm in no hurry to rush in there and get to my death. Why would I not switch shoulders? I see my front door kick in. I'm getting my butt in there. I know my own home very well, right? I probably won't be switching shoulders. A lot of people will figure out that they don't like the way they have their setup. Everything is operator preference or your preference at the time. I'm not going to be in your situation, it's you.
Hey guys, Steffen Banta. Welcome to the Patriot Point Show. I'm here with my co-hosts, Alex Gordy and Randy Rozzell. We were just talking some tactical things. Randy just got back from teaching a range course, and he had some questions that people had asked that kind of things you wouldn't normally think of regarding self-defense, firearms, whatever it may be. So I just maybe give us some insight on what those were.
Yeah, so I had a couple questions today from some students, and one of them brought up he had just got back from one of the rifle courses, and it was taught by a Delta Force guy. And when people come to my rifle course, if they're going to pie to their right, I will often have them switch shoulders, right? So that they actually switch to their left shoulder. They are looking down their sights with their left eye now and shooting with their left hand. And the Delta Force operator had told people, he's like, hey, I've seen this taught, because we do it in the SEAL teams. And he was telling them, hey, don't do that. It's just you're way more likely to hit your target. You don't have to, worry about doing that. So they just kind of brought it up today as a question to me. Well, Randy, what do you think of this? And I said, everything is situation dependent. I said, am I going to go in that room and pie that corner because I think somebody is in there?
Can you explain what pieing means?
Yeah. So what I mean by pieing is not just running into the room, taking an angle so that I can clear the majority of the room from the outside of the room before I go into the room, right? Because anytime I have an opportunity to gather situational awareness inside a room before I go into it, I would like to know what's in there. It'd be like standing on the front porch, right? And there being a window there. Well, if I was going to go into that room, all right, into the living room from the front porch, well, if I can look in the window and see who is in there first, right, before I just run in, right, it's kind of the same concept. Whatever information I can give myself before I go into a structure, into a building, is only going to help me in that situation, right? Knowledge is power. So that's what I kind of mean by pieing. I want people to take angles before they go into that room so they can clear as much of it as possible from the outside before they go in. And that's, it should be commonsensical. If I told you, hey, Steffen, your buddy is inside the room in a corner and he's got a paintball gun and you have a paintball gun. And I said, you have to shoot your buddy before he shoots you with that paintball gun. Are you just going to come barreling through the center of that? Or are you going to kind of take your time and kind of edge your way on the outside of that? That way you can shoot him before he shoots you, right? So it's just like, what would you do if you were playing paintball with your friends kind of thing, right? Except the consequences are more dire. So wouldn't you do that even more? So his question was, Randy, this guy said, don't switch shoulders because you're going to take faster shots on your strong side anyways. And I just said, well, everything is situation dependent, right? If I'm going to pie and I'm in no hurry to rush in there and get to my death, why would I not switch shoulders? Because I don't want to expose too much myself to that potential enemy that's in there that could be waiting on me, especially if I expect it, right? Now, if it's my own house and I'm grabbing my 300 for some reason, all right, versus my pistol, all right, to go clear that thing, or time is of the essence because I'm doing a dynamic clearance, I will not switch shoulders, right? Because time matters more than my safety at that point, or not more than my safety. Let me correct that statement. Time is more of the essence, right? And more important than me potentially pieing that and gathering as much information, right? So if we think about, I'm going into my own home to clear my own home, right? Well, I'm not going to be switching shoulders because, if my family's in there or whatever, I'm showing up late from home, I see my front door kick in, I'm getting my butt in there. If I hear that noise at the end of the night, well, I know my own home very well, right? I probably won't be switching shoulders. Now, when we talk about barricaded position in some type of active shooter event, okay? Well, if I'm responding with an AR to some type of active shooter event, because I'm a security guard or I'm law enforcement, right? Our kids inside that school, well, I'm probably moving pretty quickly. I'm not switching shoulders. But if it's some other type of active shooter event to where I don't know where they're at, right? And I think they could be around there, well, then I will switch shoulders and slow that clearance down. So what I told them is, God didn't give me the ability to always make right decisions, but he did give me the ability to make a decision and then make it right. He also gave me the ability to discern. So I can discern when it's more appropriate to use speed and then when it's more appropriate to slow things down. And if I have the time to slow things down, I will switch my shoulders, right, with my rifle, right? So that was kind of how I answered that question. Everything is situation dependent. What is my timing issue? Do I have a timing issue? Or is there no need, do I not have a timing issue? Well, why not just switch my shoulders and be safer and expose less of myself to that threat that could be shooting back at me?
Right. And I've filmed your courses, so I see that you instruct people on the switching shoulders, and you see a lot of times it's real awkward for people to try it the first time. They can't get the gun; it's stuck on the strap. It's, so practicing that, obviously with your courses, that's something people come out there and do, but that's something that people need to practice if they want to utilize it, obviously. But any suggestion to how to practice? Or
100%. Yeah, get your rifle, put your sling on, and practice in your own home. Of course, do so without a magazine loaded and a round in the chamber. All right, do so safely. All right. Maybe do it when your wife and kids aren't home so they don't think you're crazy. All right, and you're not accidentally muzzle sweeping them.
Mom, I'm just cleaning the basement.
Yeah. But yeah, you can do it. You can do it as simple as in your own home. And a lot of people will figure out that they don't like the way they have their setup. But again, everything is operator preference or your preference at the time. I'm not going to be in your situation. It's you. Right. You have to deem what's most appropriate during that time. Another thing that I talked to them about was I had them do a drill. One drill, they had to run from left to right, so across the range. And there was a barricade in the center of the range, so like a wall that the bad guy was behind. Okay? Now, they had to make their way to their other point of cover. So I gave them two ways of doing it. I said, okay, one, you can walk and keep them pinned down the entire time. So literally like every step. Dink, he's pinned. Dink, he's pinned. Dink, he's pinned. Dink, he's pinned. So I can make my way to cover that way. All right? Or you can come out from your cover, take two well-aimed shots at that barricade, and haul ass. Right. So I had them do both, and then I was like, which one did you get to that other cover on faster? And they were like, well, the one where we hauled ass. I'm like, okay. When you got to your next piece of cover, which one did you have more rounds left to engage the enemy?
Haul ass.
The one where you hauled ass, right?
Yep.
So these are all things to consider too. Do I have an AR with 30 rounds? Well, maybe I can keep that person pinned, be sure their head's down the entire time, and kind of walk my way to the next cover by taking well-aimed shots and keeping them pinned. You can't run and take well-aimed shots. You can walk quickly and take well-aimed shots and keep them pinned. Nobody runs full speed and takes great shots. period. All right? It's just, you can't sprint and take great shots. Okay? So it's better to take 2 good shots, get their head down, and then run as fast as you can. And then, what are we looking at? What is the distance? How far do I have to go? How many rounds would I, expend going? Well, if I have an AR, maybe I can walk. If I've got a pistol, I've only got 30 rounds total with, 15 in one mag and 15 in the other mag, maybe it's best to take 2 shots, be sure their head's down and then sprint for it.
Right.
Because nobody says there's only one bad guy.
Yeah.
All right, so these are all those things to consider. What kind of weapon do I have on me? How many rounds do I have total? These can affect it. We were doing a ship takedown one time, okay? And we had an active shooter below decks. We had a hatch. And every time the hatch would open, the guy sat at the bottom of the staircase and we'd just start sending rounds up. So the way I dealt with it was I had one of our guys stand off to the side from the hatch, open the hatch, and as soon as he opened it, I started shooting. And then each step I took, I shot around. Bink, 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 bink. So I kept him pinned and he couldn't come out, and I was able to deal with this active shooter down there, and I was able to kill him, which was great. Now, had I just shot 2 rounds and tried to run down the stairs,
Might have been a different story. Yeah.
I would have tripped over my own 2 feet, ate shit, knocked my teeth down my throat, and then that guy would have shot me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
different times,
Turn the corner.
different,
Peekaboo.
different situations, right? Times and places for everything. So, like I said, we have the ability to discern. I like to know more than one way to skin a cat. All right, and then I can and then whatever situation I'm in, I can pull from that toolbox and apply what's most appropriate, or be able to discern what is most appropriate in that situation. But you know what we have to do? We have to train both. Okay, I would much rather know how to switch shoulders and take shots with my left eye and my left hand. What if I'm shot in my right side? Okay, I'd much rather know how to do that and practice it a few times than just be like, this is never going to happen to me. I'll never have to do this. I'll never do this. It's so funny. Every time in my life I say I'm never going to do something, within like a month, I'll find myself like in that situation. I'm like, what the heck?
I'm with you.
So it's pretty funny. I would rather have practiced a couple of skills a few times, start to add it to my toolbox, than just completely go, I'll never do this. So for our listeners out there, when you go to different courses, realize, try to think about what their intent is and take the nuggets from them that you can. Then train with as many people as you can. And somebody's going to say something from one course that's going to make a lot of sense to you in this situation. And then somebody else is going to say something to you in another course that is going to make sense to you in this situation. And then you just add these things to your toolbox. Now you have more slides.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that video. Randy Rozzell is a 22-year retired Navy SEAL veteran, former chief. He brought us some great tips in that video. If you want more tips regarding the tactical space, self-defense, firearms, and things along those lines, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It costs nothing and it really helps us out bringing more great content like this. Thank you for watching.